Good morning, everybody. I hope you've had a really amazing weekend. So, today we are starting our new unit and we're moving back on to fractions. So, we know we've done this before in year six, but again, it's just recapping all that information because we did it such a long time ago now. So, we're just going to make sure that it's really secure in our mind and ensure we understand all the processes. Okay, so as usual, follow the program and pause the video where asked to. Enjoy. Question 1. Bella gets 2 cows into the pen before the time runs out. What is her score? Give the answer as a fraction in its simplest form. And B says, Lee gets 9 of the 12 sheep into the pen. What is his score? Give your answer as a fraction in its simplest form. Pause the video now, have a go, and restart the video to go through the answers. Good luck. Okay, so if we have a look at part A, Bella gets 2 cows into the pen before the time runs out. What is the score? Okay, so if we have a look at the picture here, we can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 cows all together. So we know the total of cows she could have got into the pen was 4, and she managed to get 2 of the 4 into a pen. Now our question asks us to put this into a fraction, and to not only put this into a fraction but also put it into its simplest form. So we know the total of cows she could have got was 4, and we know with fractions already, you did this in year 5 and we've done this in year 6 already, that the denominator is always the whole. So the whole she could have got was 4, so we're going to put that as our denominator, and then our numerator is how many of the whole they got. So we know that she got 2 of the whole, so our numerator is going to be 2. Now, we're not finished yet because we've been told we need to put this fraction into its simplest form. Now, to be able to put something into its simplest form, we know by now that we need to be looking at its factors and the common factors between 2 here, the common factors between 2 and 4. So really important here, some of us have the ability to do this really quickly using mental strategies, but some people might still need to use our number books. So we could have a look at 2, for example, and we know the factors of 2 are 1 and 2. It's prime number, so it's only itself and 1. And we can look at 4, and 4 has 1 and 4. And 2 and 2. So we look at the common factors, we can see that 2 is a common factor of each, and therefore to simplify this fraction, to put it into a simplest form, we're going to need to divide the numerator by 2 and the denominator by 2. Always remembering whatever we do to the top, we do to the bottom. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. Therefore, Bella's score is a half in its simplest form. If we have a look at part B, we're asked to do something similar. So we know that Lee gets 9 of the 12 sheep into the pen. So the total here, if we're looking at putting this as a fraction, so the total number of sheep he could have got into the pen is 12. Okay, so that's going to be our denominator because it's the total, the whole. And the amount of the whole he got in, which was 9. So 9 is going to be our numerator. So again, here we're going to be looking at our common factors of 9 and 12. So we can use the number book. Some of us, again, could do this in our minds. So 9, we've got 1 and 9. 2 doesn't go in, 3 does, and it's 3 multiplied by 3. 4 doesn't go in, and we're halfway. So we now go on to 12, and we've got 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. 5 doesn't go in, 6 as we've already got there, so we're halfway now. So let's have a look if we've got any common factors, and I can see straight away that 3 is my highest common factor. So remembering what we did in part A, we're now going to divide the numerator by 3 because that's the highest common factor. And we're going to do the same to the bottom as we do to the top. So again, we'll be dividing the bottom by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay. We've done the same to the top, we've done to the bottom. And therefore, Lee's score is 3/4 in its simplest form. Bella and Lee play some more rounds of the game. What scores do they get? Use the diagrams to help you simplify your fractions. Okay, so using the same strategies that we were looking at in the first question today, if you use those to work through the next 3 parts of the question, you should find it nice and simple to get the correct answer. So pause the video now, have a go at the activities and restart the video when you're ready. Enjoy! Okay, so this is similar to our first question, but this time we're just going to get a little bit more practice at doing this. So in part A, Bella gets 4 out of the 6 sheep into the pen. So we know the total number of sheep she could have got into the pen is 6. So this is the whole. So that will be our denominator. And we know that she got 4 of the whole, so 4 out of the total. So 4 will be our numerator. So we've got 4 out of 6. And we, again, need to simplify the fractions as we have been doing in the first part. So we could use our number bugs again here. So if we look at 4, we know we've got 1 and 4 and 2 and 2. We're halfway, so we can't do any more. Do the same with 6. We've got 1 and 6, 2 and 3, and we're halfway. The highest common factor here is 2. So we're going to divide the numerator by 2, always remembering to do the same to the bottom as we do to the top. So we're dividing by 2 again. So 4 divided by 2 gives us 2, and 6 divided by 2 gives us 3. So therefore, we can see that Bella gets 2/3 of the sheep into her pen. And it's also given us, if we look here at this part, this is a bar model, just demonstrating that it's still exactly the same amount. It's not got any smaller or any larger. It's just a simplified form. Okay, so it's just putting it in the lowest common number that we possibly can. So if we have a look at B, we're going to do exactly the same. So we can see Lee gets 5 out of 10 cows into the pen. So 10 is the denominator because it's the total he possibly could have got. And he got 5 out of the total. So that's going to be our numerator. And now again, we're going to try and find our highest common factor. So if we have a look at 5, we know we've got 1 and 5. It's prime number, so there's no more. We can have a look at 10. We've got 1 and 10, 2 and 5. I'm going to stop here because already I know that 5's only got 2 options, and that's 1 and 5. And I can see in 10, a common factor is 5. So now I'm going to be dividing the numerator and the denominator by 5, always doing the same to the top as we do to the bottom. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. So therefore, Lee got half of the cows into the pen. Our final part, C, exactly the same process. So always remembering to follow every step as we go along. Once you've got those steps clear in your mind, you're never going to get this wrong. So we know that Bella gets 9 of the 15 geese into the pen. So 15 is the total number she could have got into the pen, so our denominator. And 9 is the number of geese she managed to get in, so our numerator. We can look at our factors again here. So we know we've got 1 and 9, 3 and 3. With 15, we've got 1 and 15, 3 and 5. And I'm going to stop here because I've already found my common factor. And I know it's not going to get any higher than that because the only other option in the 9 would be 9. And I know that 9 doesn't go into 15. So 3, we're going to be doing it divisible by 3. So I've got the numerator being divided by 3, exactly the same to the bottom as I'm doing to the top, divided by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. So therefore, Bella got 3/5 of geese into the pen. Okay, time for our final question. Now you've had lots of opportunity now to practice simplifying fractions. So the next question just asks you to simplify these 3 fractions. Have a go at that when you pause the video, remembering each step of the process, always recognising that common factor to be able to simplify. So pause the video now, have a go and come back to me when you're ready. Okay, so I'm sure you're really getting the hang of this now, so I'll work through these a little bit more quickly. So we're going to simplify fraction A. So we've got 6/8, and I'm always going to do the same to the top as I do to the bottom. I know the highest common factor here is going to be 2, so I'm going to be dividing by 2 the numerator and the denominator. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 3/4, so I'll write that next to it. Moving on to B, I've got 10 hundredths, and I know that my highest common factor here is going to be 10. So I'm going to divide the numerator by 10 and do the same to the denominator. So I've got 10 divided by 10 is 1, and 100 divided by 10 is 10. Therefore 1/10 in its simplest form. And here, C, now this is a little different, isn't it? So we can see that we've got 7 out of 7. Okay, so we could look for the highest common factor again and do the same to the top as we do to the bottom. The highest common factor of both would be 7, and that would leave us with 1/1. Or we could also recognise that 7/7 is a whole, and we could simplify that to 1. Amazing. So that brings us to the end of today's lesson. You've all worked really hard today on those independent activities, and you should all be feeling that little bit more confident to have a go at the independent quiz for yourselves. So again, restart the video and watch any of the parts again if you're struggling at all with the quiz, or ask any of your teachers and they'll be able to support you with that. So enjoy the quiz, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.